I'm Lincoln Blackwell, experiential trauma therapist here at the Phoenix Center in Media, PA. Some of my areas of focus and populations that I have demonstrated experience in working with are particularly in grief and loss, addiction populations, post-traumatic stress disorder, sexual assault survivors, first responders, veterans, or just some of the population that I have demonstrated experience of working with. Some of the modalities that I kind of use more regularly are cognitive behavioral strategies, strength-based work, motivational interviewing, existential humanistic approaches, mostly deriving sense of meaning and purpose, overcoming death anxiety, and kind of that freedom element, which is really important. And also EMDR, eye movement desensitization, and reprocessing, which is a trauma-informed approach to healthfully process memories that we have incomplete processing of, that oftentimes hang over us for long periods of time. In terms of who I am as a therapist and who I am as a person, I'm a really hard worker. I really like the challenge of solving complex problems, thinking outside the box. I try to have fun where I can. I try to keep things light. I like to believe I have a good sense of humor because I think it's important to laugh. I think sometimes that's one of the best things in life. It's just a little bit of laughter. And that's something that I try to bring to sessions every once in a while where appropriate. I'm a very honest person. I tend to be very transparent. And people find me to be very gentle, I believe. I really view myself as a guided discovery agent of help, I guess. I don't know how else to better put that. I think it can be very intimidating coming into a therapeutic setting and discussing your problems with a stranger. And I think part of that is making a connection. You need to feel safe. You need to feel as though we're going to instill hope and get you through whatever it is that you're facing. Because that's the kind of thing that gets the work started and gets our journey together started. And I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about being a therapist is that just being honored to walk with someone on their journey and have them discover new things that they never imagined and see things from a different perspective than they imagined. I think that it's one of those great things that happens very organically. It's not orchestrated in a lab or anything like that. It's very organic. It happens in the room, in a safe and gentle environment, warm, inviting environment. So those are some of the aspects that I would say encompass me as a therapist and as a human. I think one of the first things that we do is look at the reality of present day life. And then we also kind of make kind of a template for the future of how we would like to see our life and things that we dream of, but maybe we, for one reason or another, put off those dreams, or we've delayed them indefinitely because we're afraid to take that jump. Those are some of the things that we really dive into. What are the origins of that? And how can we orchestrate some different way of looking at it? Because I think as humans, sometimes we can be afraid to take a risk. I think we can be afraid to do a lot of things, afraid to say goodbye, afraid to say goodbye to a substance that we've found to be our best friend. And that's a really tough thing to face. So I think investigating some of the emotional underpinnings of some of these greater themes is a big part of how we address and how we can look at it to make a change. Some things I really love about being a therapist is that moment when you ask a question a particular way and a client looks at you and says, "I never thought of that before." and you can almost see life light up in their eyes and a smile come across their face, because it gave them some sense of relief. It gave them some sense of explanation. And that's one of the things that really speaks to me. And I also enjoy those moments where, people have triumphs. People, find their purpose. They find a meaning. They get that new job, or they find a healthy resolution to a relationship, or they're able to come to terms and come to closure with a loved one that may be departed. Just having that comfort of knowing that they were able to come through that, and I was honored enough to be a part of their journey, and they trusted me with that information. It warms my heart. It reaches me at a whole different level, and it's something I really appreciate. As to how I kind of got on the path to becoming a therapist, I took a very non-traditional path to this field. I've tried different, and I've excelled in different fields, including investment banking and things like that. And I've been very successful at that. But I felt somewhat unfulfilled in those ventures. Some information about me is, I've lost a lot of very close relatives, to me, including my father when I was 21 years old. And I often recall that as one of the catalysts of my life change to this very moment and speaking to you. So it took me some time to put all the pieces together, but I really longed for that connection and kind of helping others through very difficult circumstances where they can't quite articulate, they can't quite put together the words of saying how they feel. Because I very much was in that spot at some point in my life. So I think a big piece of what I see out of this career venture and out of this helping profession is making that connection, and channeling maybe what I needed back then, and helping someone else through this. I think I would find a lot of fulfillment through that, and just making that connection and helping someone through that very difficult time really speaks to me. So I think that was a big component that was realized later in life, to go through the training and become a therapist. And I still, it's early yet, but still one of the best decisions I think I've ever made. Some of the communities I feel most at home with in terms of therapy is, clients that are recently coming out of an addiction program, a recovery program, and they want to maintain sobriety and recovery, and they want to take the next steps, right? They want to learn what led them where they were. They want to kind of untangle the big jumble of wires and get to that origin. Because I think that's one of the questions we all have in life is why? Why did this happen? We all want that answer. And I think that's something that I can help guide each person through. And it's not a quick process, and I think it's a gentle process. It's therapy on your terms, because sometimes we can't just go full speed right out of the gate. And I do have an understanding of that, and I have an understanding of the comfortability and the trust that needs to be built. I think I make it a real priority to establish that safety, establish that rapport, generate a smile or two in the midst of heavy conversation where emotions are involved. Just because it can be a very intimidating process. And I think having that sensibility out of the gate really lowers the tension, it lowers the pressure, and it makes you feel at home. And that really is what therapy is supposed to be about. If you're a person that's on the fence about reaching out, about getting this process started, I want you to imagine the keys to your car, to your home. Those keys, you can't find them. They're either with someone else or they're just not findable. It's scary. It's unsettling. It's not something you want to think about. It's not something you want to go into. But this is about putting those keys back in your hand, establishing your control over your life. taking back over, right? And it's about turning that next page. What is the next chapter you want to write in your life? And what do you want that to say? I'm happy to be a part of that journey, and I would love to be a part of it. Therapy can be a scary thing, but it's part of my work and part of what I feel like I bring, that it'll be a very warm environment, very gentle, and I'm not going to push you further than you can handle. You know, we have a very transparent relationship, and you're an equal partner. It's an equal partnership. You have as much control as anyone. And you know, I just want to say that it takes a lot of courage to take that first step, but it can be one of the most rewarding steps that you take. And I just ask that you show up for yourself and that you take that next step, because we can do this together. I think, you know, I'm happy to work with any age, any background. You know, I think being somewhat fresh out of school, I just recently graduated with my master's degree. I have a lot of integrative techniques, right? A lot of things that we have at our disposal that we can use, because I believe therapy should be a customized and unique experience. I don't think that there's one approach that fits every person. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I think having that kind of tool bag, we can find the right tool for your unique situation. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I wish you well.